pensar qué pasaba en la Tierra Media 200 años antes de que J.R.R. Tolkien en sus libros y Peter Jackson en las adaptaciones al cine del Señor de los Anillos nos presentaron a Frodo. La respuesta está en Los Anillos del Poder, la nueva serie de Prime Video que sigue la historia de Galadriel en su lucha por erradicar el mal que amenaza con destruirlo absolutamente todo. En esta historia te encontrarás con muchos guiños al Señor de los Anillos, pero también con personajes originales. Orcos, elfos, enanos, gigantes y hombres se reúnen en esta nueva aventura y aquí en De Película tuvimos la posibilidad de conversar con el elenco. ¿Estás listo para Los Anillos del Poder?
Ha llegado Galadriel, el momento que temíamos.
I want to ask you about obviously getting to explore Galadriel, which is a character we've seen before. Did you find it at all unexpected to see how she was when she was maybe younger?
Yeah, and I had read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but I hadn't delved into the Silmarillion at all. And so I didn't know anything about her history really, and that was really interesting. And just the elves, the elves that we know in Lord of the Rings they've been through a lot to get to that wise, serene place. They did a lot of crazy stuff before that. So it was cool to explore. And I also think that the people I know that are the most chilled in older age are often the ones who had the craziest time and went through a lot. So that's kind of what I was thinking. It's hard-earned, her serenity.
That's good. And Charlie, I know your character is not actually in the books. Does that make the experience any different for you? Does it add any pressure?
I think it does make it it's definitely a different experience because it adds pressure in the sense that you can't just go directly to something and be like, okay, now I've read this chapter and it has all this information on my character. You have to search more, but it also has a freedom because you can take things, as long as they're bound up in the essence of Tolkien, which I think is the most important thing with the original characters. Because people rightfully question the necessity of original characters, and I think in this context they are necessary and they're amazing because they're all grounded in Tolkien. So there's elements in Halbrand of Aragorn. There's parts of him, a Beren or Boromir or whoever it might be.
No tiene un nombre, sino muchos.
¿Lo has escuchado? ¿Sabes quién es Sauron?
I guess in the trilogy, in the original trilogy, everyone is driven by power. What would you say are the motives behind these two characters? What moves them and what motivates them?
I think it's more about survival, possibly, Alice.
Yeah.
Because the peace is starting to crumble away and there's this evil rising that they don't know what form it's in, how catastrophic it could be, but they feel the foundations of their world starting to crumble away. And we see how what people cling to try and survive that.
Tristan, I have to ask you, Pharazôn obviously in the books becomes king. I have not seen what happens with you, but what does power mean in this, in this context where evil is so strong?
Power is something that, people strive for out of fear, isn't it? I think that it's a scary world. People have their journeys. whether it's you are physically going somewhere or it is a journey of discovery from within. It's a big scary world out there.
Con el tiempo uno o el otro debe quebrarse.
I think Lord of the Rings is obviously a beloved trilogy and books and the movies as well. And that's mainly because it was an important part of history and the way films were made and everything changed. It was a game changer for filmmaking. So what would you want people to keep, and how do you want your show to change whatever happens from here on the way we see shows and stories like this?
Well, something I'm really excited about our show is that it's being dubbed and subtitled in so many different languages. And that's something that I think is really cool that's come with streaming and stuff.
I hope people at this stage, I hope they just enjoy the show and,
Yeah.
and find an escape from their lives and see some of their lives reflected in it. And it sounds, I always think whenever I say that, it sounds preposterous, because it's like you're going to watch this high fantasy and see your life reflected in like a god or an elf or a Maya or whatever it is. But I think that's the beauty of this story, is that it has elements that we can all connect to, stories of love and hope and despair, friendship.
My only hope is that people get entertained and they get it there. It inspires and ignites their imagination.
Well, I want to piggyback on that. I think imagination is a thing that we often think, we don't think how powerful that is. Imagination is where we start building ourselves and the possibilities of we can be. And that translates into the world. And when you give people the freedom to imagine themselves in a different way, that has a direct impact on what we build outside in the world. So I piggyback on that. And I think the show has brought a amalgamation of beautiful, talented people of all walks of life, gender, culture, ideals, colors, that will further inspire a new generation to imagine themselves in greater, deeper ways.
Total cool. Yeah, agreed.
Los Anillos del Poder ya llega a Prime Video y tú no te la puedes perder. Soy Gaby Cam y nos vemos en el próximo especial de película.
Te han mentido mucho sobre Tierra Media.